Hey everybody, welcome back to I Know a Guy. If you're new here, my name's Anthony. I'm all about building connections that matter. This podcast is your place to go for discovering inspiring entrepreneurs, business owners, professionals, and just people doing cool things. For example, today we're meeting Emily Hawkins, the creator of Leadership and a passionate advocate for helping home service business owners simplify their operations and maximize profits. With 15 years of corporate experience and a proven track record of guiding hundreds of businesses to succeed, Emily's innovative strategies are reshaping the way home service businesses find joy and sustainability in their work. How are you doing today, Emily?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much. That was such a great intro. You're a very good rapper.
Well, it was just mostly your bio. I took pieces and kind of cheated, but yeah, I appreciate the compliment, and I will take it without any sort of shame. So, so
Love it.
yeah. So, how's 2025 treating you?
Oh, it's so great. I love starting a year with clarity and purpose. And I don't know about you, but it always starts in the year before. It's December, that sort of 2 week time period that time forgot. I don't know about you, but for the last 2 weeks, I have not known what day it is, what time it is. I'd like, I don't know. And that to me is such a great time to reflect. So I spent a lot of time reflecting and deciding what I wanted this year to be, and it's already coming to fruition, which is very fun.
That's awesome. Super, super happy to hear it. I'm in the exact same place. This started, a few weeks into the from the end of 2024, and if I can make it through the holiday trying to figure this stuff out and learn, then 2025 is going to be a breeze. So, looking forward to it. So, also, yeah, I was super excited to have you on. I loved our conversations. I loved what we were talking about before we were on recording. But to start off, where are you located? Where are you calling in from?
I am in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm actually in a town about an hour from Atlanta named Cumming, but it's easier to say Atlanta because nobody knows where Cumming, Georgia is.
Yeah, no, that's true. I've never actually made it into Georgia. I've been very close. Are you a lifer? You've been there forever, or are you newer to the area?
I'm originally from Knoxville, Tennessee, and when I graduated from college, my goal was to live here for 2 years. Um, I graduated a far time ago. So I ended up meeting my husband. He is a native. And so we ended up staying. We moved cities, though. We lived in a different town than we do right now. But we have two children, and I would call myself a lifer now. So.
Yeah, I got you. So I take it you're like in Georgia. What do you like about it? If somebody's coming to visit, it's never been there before, what are you doing day one? Where are you taking them? What are you showing them? What are you feeding them?
Oh, okay. So biscuits down here, absolutely amazing. I realize that I'm from Tennessee. I'm sure Tennessee biscuits are great, but I feel like Georgia really nailed it. Like we know our biscuits. If you hear somebody call a biscuit like a cat head biscuit, meaning it's big, I'd never heard that term until I moved here. Anywhere that serves biscuits, the more run down the place is, the better the biscuit is. So and there's a couple places near me that I would definitely take them for that type of food for sure. And we have beautiful hiking trails, and the weather is really great now. Right now, we're in a cold spell. It's in the 20s, which here is like, I don't know, the Arctic or something. We're not prepared for the 20s here. But typically, it's really mild. So hiking is something that I absolutely love. And I live near they call it Sawney Mountain. I am from the foothills of the Smoky Mountains. I do not call this a mountain. I call it like a giant hill, maybe, but it's called the Indian Seats. And I love taking people up there. So that's probably where we would go first.
That's awesome. Yeah, I first never heard of cat head biscuits. I have a lot of family in the South, so I know all about the more run down, the better the food. Just because they don't have time to do that because they're making really good, affordable food, so they can't be doing additions and stuff all the time. So definitely, definitely truth there. And yeah, no, I know nothing about mountains. I'm in the Midwest. It's the Great Plains. It's flat. I
Oh,
can
yeah.
I can probably see three states over just looking out my window. So anyway, so awesome. Well, what can you tell us about what you do?
Well, I help businesses, mainly home service businesses, streamline their process, their people, and their systems. And what this means is actually using everything that they already have to save money and time. Typically, we find money, which is super fun. And it isn't in landing more clients. It isn't in sales. So I can help with that process because I do feel that the customer journey is incredibly important. But it's funny how few businesses actually look at the back end. Once you've landed that customer, you can actually keep that customer for longer, get them to tell their friends about you, and get all sorts of business that costs you practically nothing if you just do a great job of serving. And what I found, especially in the home service industry, is that these are some of the best service providers in the world, but they have never been taught leadership. And a lot of the tech that is now available to them is amazing, by the way. There are so many amazing systems for HVAC companies, for roofing companies, for electricians, for auto parts stores. There are all of these great technologies. Whatever you're looking at currently, if you are one of these businesses, it's a great platform. But the thing is that they haven't taken the time to learn all the bells and whistles inside of it. And it can actually help them hire fewer people, less experienced people, to actually run their business more profitably. So that's mainly, in a nutshell, what I do. And then, of course, the people that they do hire, keeping them, training them, loving them, getting them to not leave the business and use their knowledge and grow internally.
Oh, that's two huge areas, with home service businesses, just turnover. It costs so much to hire somebody new, train them, get them up to speed just for them to go down the road to somebody else. So definitely, it's definitely a big money saver there. And then, like you said, talking to your existing clients, being able to do more, have a reoccurring business that's just as, if not more important than prospecting new. They're already there. They already know, like, trust you. You've already helped them. Did they have a good experience? They'll probably use you again. People have a lot of brand loyalty if you're providing that kind of service. So that's awesome. I like that direction. More businesses need to take that. So I'm super happy you're doing that. What got you started though? How'd you go from into this? What was that? What did that look like?
Oh, goodness. Okay. Well, I will start probably too far back, but it does make sense to start here. I went to college and was so excited about becoming an accountant. Uh, no one ever wants me to do their taxes. I would be a horrible accountant. I didn't know this at the time. I had taken some bookkeeping classes in high school and was like, this is my path. I'm going to be an accountant. So after getting a C in the first semester of accounting and a D in the second semester accounting, I realized probably a dream I should let go of. And it wasn't even that I was bad at it, which clearly was the case. I didn't enjoy it. When I realized what it was all about, I was like, this isn't really the kind of complexity that I want to go down the rabbit hole in. Like, I had this whole moment of like, what is it that I want to do? And my brother was at the exact same college that I was at, and he was 2 years ahead of me in school. He was a statistics major, and for him to graduate, he had to take logistics classes, supply chain classes. And he said, I took this class and there's something about it I think you would love. You don't have to change colleges because it's in the business college. Why don't you take a logistics class? Well, I had no other options. So I took the class, absolutely loved it. Understanding basically everything I teach my clients now, where you have an entire chain of events that affect your profitability, that affect your customer service, that affect so many things. It's not just one throat to choke, if you will. I was hooked. From the minute I took that class, I graduated with a 4.0 in that specific field. Overall, I did not have a 4.0, but chemistry got me, which again, nobody wants me to be doing any sort of chemical work for them. But that really set me off on, I look at it as a big experiment. Life in general is a big experiment, but I love the fact that you can look at something and say, we're not profitable. Why? Or this isn't working. Why? And going down that rabbit hole and exploring all the different directions that you get to go. And I was fortunate enough to actually get a job when I first got out of school in Atlanta. That's how I ended up here, where every 6 months I switched roles in different facets of the supply chain. So over a 2-year period, I got the opportunity to actually work in all of these different facets. I realized very quickly contracting was not for me. Nobody wants me to write a contract. But there were so many other aspects of it that I absolutely loved, and the necessity of it, you know? And what I learned, especially from that 2 year stint, was it's not necessarily that you have to know it all. It's literally what you do every day, Anthony, knowing the right people to support that chain of events that need to happen for your business to work properly. And so I spent 15 years working for companies like Walmart, Target, through Carter's Baby Clothes. I worked for Bell South, which does not exist anymore, landline phones. I worked for AT&T Mobility when it was still singular and the iPhone was released. I'm aging myself here, but it was a question the other day on like Jeopardy or something. And I know what it was, Mr. Beast games on Amazon. My son, who's 9, was watching it, and there was a question about when was the iPhone released. And I was like, oh, I know the answer to this because I was there when it happened. So anyway, that was my career. And I actually ended up working for a small startup. And in that small startup was what I learned, what I feel like is the most important part of all of these facets. And it's leadership, because you can have great systems and you can have great processes. But if you don't have supportive, great leadership that gives you autonomy and ignites innovation, then the business isn't going to go anywhere. So after spending 15 years in that world, I've spent the last 7 streamlining processes for productive results for hundreds, if not thousands of people, which is really fun.
That's awesome. So you've clearly done a lot of it. What's been your favorite thing? You said it's really fun, but what's your favorite thing about what you're doing?
I just love talking to a business owner. It happens almost every week. And they're like, wait, it's that easy? And I'm like, yeah, it is. It is. I never want someone to talk to me and them feel like I'm talking down to them, or, this is really complex, Anthony. You're not going to understand. Who wants to hear from somebody like that? You want to hear that it's super simple. And my goal is to work with organizations and then exit stage left. I want you to feel empowered, your employees to feel empowered, and you feel like you can run this by yourself. Now, if you want me to come back in, check some things out, I'm more than willing to do that. But I want you to know that this Emerald City that you built, you have the keys to. And I'm just going to show you how it runs. And then I'm going to walk away, and you're going to have a simpler, easier system to run. And so that's been the thing that I've been the most excited about, is showing these companies how to really pare down some of the things they're doing. Do you need 17 tasks to get to this? Maybe we only need 3. And maybe at some point you need 17. But with technology and all of the updates and all of the things in your systems, there's a good chance that you can cut half of those things out. And so we spend a lot of time doing that, is really just simplifying. And it just makes me so happy when they're like, I didn't know that the system that I actually pay for on a monthly basis could do this thing that I don't have to pay extra for. I just didn't know it did that. So
Yeah, that's timely. It definitely fits with what I've been learning while doing this, because you go into it and you don't know what you don't know. It's like, I'm gonna do this one thing, I'm gonna figure out the rest while I go, which is good because you don't have the analysis of paralysis by jumping into it and just learning as you go. But you do kind of pick things up, and then you look back at it and go, well, this and this are redundant. If I just had everything here, it would be smoother for me. I wouldn't have to have multiple logins. I wouldn't have to train people on different things. So that's yeah, definitely a needed thing. So that's fantastic. I love that. So what is something that you've maybe overcome or seen others overcome, because you're an entrepreneur yourself. You've definitely had some hard won lessons, but you also work with them every day, and they obviously have hard won lessons. What advice would you give somebody that's maybe early in their entrepreneur career, or are considering getting started, that it's like, hey, this is something that's going to come down the road, maybe don't trip over it and fall on your face?
yeah. So I think a lot of us think there's something wrong with our product, when potentially there's nothing wrong with your product or service. It's the fact that nobody knows who you are. You have no marketing. You have no visibility. You have not clearly defined what it is you do and how you help people. That's really rule number one. I struggled with that for 2 years. I could not, people just had no idea what I did. I would put out motivational quotes and like all this stuff because you read all these things like make sure people know you exist, but I wasn't doing it the right way. So if you are a home service business, put a bunch of before and afters out there. I'm a huge fan of that. If you are a home service business, I want to see a before and after picture every week. And you've got them. You've got hundreds of these. So that's a really simple thing, just so people are constantly seeing different things from you. That's number one. Number two is dissecting the no. So if people are saying no, why? And I will tell you right now that the majority of people say time and money. And what I will tell you is money means I don't see the value in what you have. Time means three things. I don't know how to do this. I don't want to do this. And that's not a priority for me. And so I don't know how to do this. Well, that's probably why I'm going to hire you, right? I don't know how to do this. But maybe I don't want to do it because, again, I don't see the value in it. I don't want to get my toilet switched out because I don't really see the value in it. I'll just, patch it up and make it work. And it may cause more damage down the road because I didn't know that it should be a priority and why. So understanding the value there. So really making sure that people understand this. And I feel like in home service, it seems so basic, but people don't know what they don't know. I want to remind every single person that's listening to this that if you own a hairdryer, there is still a giant warning label in 2025 on that hairdryer that says not to take a bath with it. So if that still exists in 2025, then there are people that you are serving that do not understand your business. And you need to clearly articulate and state it over and over and over again, how you help, where you help, and why you're different. So I feel like marketing is such a heavy part of this. I know originally I was talking about systems and processes, which matter so much. But if you are struggling to get customers in the door, which is where I struggled to begin with, it's your marketing. One of the reasons I work with the businesses I do currently is that marketing is never a problem for these people. The majority of people I work with, it's word of mouth because they're really great at what they do. And they're growing so fast that they don't know how to scale. And so that's really a struggle that a lot of businesses have. And one thing I will tell you about scaling that is dangerous is that you should not just throw people at it. That is not the answer. There is a strategic way of scaling based on your business, and you have a limiting factor, and maybe it is people, but there's other things at play there. Are you going to break your systems? Do you have the capacity in workload and that type of thing? You need to look at the holistic thing, the people, the processes, and the systems before you throw people, which seems like what most people do, because 9 times out of 10, usually there's something broken in your system that you need to solve before you start throwing people at it, before you have the onboarding and all of that. So that's just a little cautionary tale for people.
Yeah, that's a lot of good advice. Because like you said, people don't know you from Adam, right? You deal with your stuff every single day, and it's easy to forget that that doesn't translate automatically through everybody else, right? So if you're driving down the road and you see a tire store, all you know is they sell tires, right? You don't know why they're better. You don't know why you would go there as opposed to the one across the street. So that's it. It's very simple, but it's very I'm trying to think of the way to say it. Very simple, but very, needed. People overlook that kind of thing. And I imagine that's where you get a lot of people going, oh, that's so simple, really? So that's
Exactly.
fantastic. So, as far as like average clients and people that you can help, what are some pain points that if somebody's dealing with X, Y, or Z, you're the person that they need to talk to?
So if you have a team of people that suck, that is a term that I learned in my MBA program. Just kidding. If you have a team of people that suck, the reason I say this is because I used to say this when I was in the corporate world. I started leading teams and I was like, oh, Good people are so hard to find. This is awful. You are the problem, which to me is actually very freeing. So at that point, when I was saying those words, I was the problem. And what I will tell you is there's a couple things at play here. Maybe you hired the wrong people. Maybe you went on, I used to go on Google, now you go on ChatGPT, write yourself up a job description, throw it out on job, site, name one, and you interview and you're just like, you know what? I really like this person. So I'm going to hire this person. And then all of a sudden, day one, they start disappointing you. And you keep them around though, because you're like, but they're really nice. They're so nice. Almost every business owner I work with has somebody in their business, or at one point in us working together, had someone in their business that they start the conversation with me. He's so nice. I hope he is, but I don't care. Is he doing the job that you need inside of your business? So here's what I would say: hire slow, fire fast. And this all comes with getting very clear on who you need in your business, what those tasks are going to be, how you're going to onboard these people, and how you're going to communicate with them on a regular basis. How are they going to get feedback with you and without you? When you nail that down, that team that you thought sucked will run circles around you. They will be so much better than you ever imagined. And it was something that I did. This is actually what made me start my business, was the fact that I witnessed a team of people that I felt like were not performing. And it was me that was underperforming. And as soon as I got clear on everything that I just mentioned to you, we became the most productive team in the company. And I love watching this happen inside of businesses. It just makes me so excited to see. Sometimes people leave, and that's just fine, absolutely fine. But sometimes we move them around. We move them to different roles. We clearly define what that role is. We create accountability, and I watch people flourish, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, I really like that. What about power partners, people that you synergize well with, other industries, or relationships that you might make with other entrepreneurs that you're able to both help similar clients?
Oh, most definitely. So my bookkeeper, love him so much. He's absolutely amazing. When I am working with a client that is struggling with their bookkeeping, he is the first phone call I make. And so I'm in Atlanta, he's in Florida. My clients are all over the country. So I think that's another thing that a lot of us think, is that we have to hire locally. And there's a good portion of things that are happening inside of your business that don't need to happen locally. Bookkeeping is one of them. And so if he is somebody that cannot get me, service, like he's like, oh, I'm full right now, or I'm not in the hiring place, or that's not a type of business that I support. We always have these conversations. I have a friend, her name is Candace Camphor, and she runs a QuickBooks Made Easy business. So she teaches bookkeepers and business owners and all of that how to use QuickBooks. And she is always my next call. So I typically go to her and I tell her what I'm looking for, and they have a directory of people that I can talk to, which is very helpful. So she's one of my go-tos. She's one of my go-tos in general, because I feel like even if you are not doing QuickBooks inside of your business, I don't. Todd, my bookkeeper, does it for me. I still think you need a healthy understanding of how those things work. Again, you're not moving the debits and credits and all that, but how does that work and how can it work for you? That's really what she provides me, is a great base of that knowledge, so that we hire the right bookkeepers for the right companies, and that we get the right people in place. So she is one of my go-tos, along with my own bookkeeper, to make sure that the bookkeeping services are really up to snuff, because a lot of businesses don't have that in place. And what's happening when they don't have that in place is typically they're cash poor, because those bookkeepers are usually the ones that are also helping invoice and making sure payments are collected. And when that cycle gets off and you're running jobs, well, how are you going to pay for those jobs while you're in the process of doing them? So it's a It's a double-edged sword if it's not in place. So I'm a big fan of having the right accounting and bookkeeping services in place. And that's one of my go-tos.
Awesome. So, I know I have a couple questions. I know we could probably take another, half an hour answering these, but just, at a fairly high level, what is the top strategy that you think small business owners can use to simplify their operations?
So here's the number one strategy. You already have everything you need. That is the most controversial answer, I think, because I'm supposed to say that you need X system, you need me, you need all these things. Sure, maybe you do. But what I would encourage you to do is look deeper with what you have. The people that are already on your team, are any of them experts in things that you don't understand? Utilize that. Do you know how all of your systems work? Are you fully using those to the best degree possible? And then do you have task shrapnel? So meaning when you set up your business, you had, I was mentioning this earlier, 17 steps, but maybe you don't need those 17 steps anymore. So you have all of that, and you are the smartest person in your business because you've actually been there from the beginning and no one else has. And so you can actually look at these things with a fine-tooth comb. Now, again, for somebody like me, I can go in, I can ask you these questions, and we can do this, what I would like to say, like on steroids. We can do it really fast because it's something I would dedicate time to for you. But what I'm saying is you don't need that. If you don't have the funds to do it, you already have everything inside of your business. It's just utilizing it properly. Something that I do at the end of every year, I did it actually in November of this year, as I looked at all of my tech stack, everything that I pay for, and I pared down a lot of things. I do it every year. There's always things that I'm like, you know what? I'm really not using all these bells and whistles, so I'm just going to take that down a bit. And then other things, I'm like, you know what? I really use this and I want to do more. So I'm going to invest a little bit more in this specific platform. This day and age, you have so much flexibility around that. We're not signing these, giant contracts that you have this like year agreement for something. And so I really encourage you to do that as well, because you might find that you're paying for more than you're actually using.
How can small business owners increase their profits without adding complexity to their process?
So one of the ways is to do less. I really hope that every business owner listening to this has a motto of doing less. So I want you to think about, if it takes, I'm going back to my 17 steps again, if it takes 17 steps to get here, how can we reduce that by 3? What are 3 things we could take out of the process if you think everything is necessary? Because once you go down that path, you'll realize, wait a second, all we're actually doing is A, B, and C. So why do we feel like we need all these additional steps? And one of the things you can do as well is train somebody, train a new person on your team and give them the freedom to ask you questions, because they will poke holes in your business faster than anyone else. And just simplifying is really key.
What would you say the biggest mistake small business owners are making when they're trying to scale, and how can they avoid it?
Going back to throwing people at it. Oh, it's time, we're getting bigger, so now we need to hire 70 people. I worked with a business in 2024, unfortunately, that I saw this happening. I saw the writing on the wall. They said, well, if we invest more here, then we need to hire these people. And before the investments were made in order for the scaling to start happening, they just started hiring people. And it got dangerously close. In my opinion, it was not something I recommended. I just did not think this was a good move. The owner said, nope, I have a gut feeling about this. That business is in debt now. They are no longer, I stopped working with them the minute that happened, just because I didn't want to be a part of something that I knew was about to implode when I was raising my hand and saying, this isn't going to work. So throwing people at processes, I witnessed it. That's not the only time I've witnessed it. I witnessed it in the corporate world as well. And it's so much easier to pare down your software. It's a lot harder to fire people. So I would recommend, hiring slow and firing fast, but keeping your team as lean as possible so that you don't have to make those hard decisions.
Just focusing on that efficiency. I really like that, where it's, if you have an employee that can handle 5 tasks and your process is 20 tasks, if you can cut that down by a third, the amount of people you have, they can handle it more efficiently. So that's fantastic advice. And you're right. I think that is a pitfall a lot of businesses fall into, because it seems logical. Hey, we have more, we need more to do more. And yeah, I could spiral. I could see that. Is there anything that I missed or failed to ask that you wanted to add?
Well, most business owners in general, see all the holes. And it's Tuesday, but usually on a Monday morning, people are like, I'm going to tackle them all, right? Like, I'm going to fix all the holes and I'll have it done by Wednesday. And what happens is you don't actually focus on, you don't give enough time to each of the holes, and you don't actually address anything. You end up in paralysis sometimes as the business owner. And so I've actually developed a quiz, an assessment on my site that you can take. You just enter your information. It's very simple, 5, 7 questions about your specific business, where it's struggling, where you feel like it needs the most help. And what I do in the results is I give you one thing, one area of your business to focus on this week, 3 shifts to make this week in that specific area. It will be the biggest bang for your buck, and it will actually could potentially solve the other problems that you're seeing throughout the organization. If not, then at least kicks you off and it helps you see if I focus in one area. So if you go to Emily Hawkins, the number 4, the letter U.com/performance, you can take that specific assessment to find out what area you should focus on this week, the 3 shifts you can make to make more money, to save time, and to increase productivity.
Okay. Is that the best way for people to find you or get a hold of you, or do you have other areas, socials, or places that you like people to reach out on?
Yeah, so on every platform, so LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, you can find me at Emily Hawkins, the number 4, the letter U. So I am that everywhere. And then, yes, if you wanted to go to emilyhawkins4u.com, I've got a treasure trove of resources over there for you, a couple other items that you're more than welcome to grab and take with you. And yeah, so social, I'm always on social. I'm very active on Instagram and Facebook stories. I try to give a business tip every single day. If you cannot afford a fractional COO, such as myself, I want you to be able to have access to that every day. So I try to provide that at least 5 days a week.
Perfect. If anybody would like to get in touch with Emily, I can't recommend it enough. Have that conversation. You're going to walk away knowing more than what you did. She's going to give you some insights. I can talk from personal experience, just kind of talk to her about it. And she's going to have ideas that you haven't thought of. You might be a little bit too close to it, or it's just nice to have an outside perspective. And Emily is exactly the same in a one-on-one as she is on here. So I can't recommend it enough. Absolutely reach out. If you're a little bit more shy and you prefer an introduction, ask me. I'm more than happy to make that 3-way introduction for you. Other than that, I'm going to have all of her links and everything in the description, so we don't have to hunt for it or try and spell it. I'm going to have her send it to me, so I'm going to copy and paste it. So if it's misspelled, it's her fault, not mine. Other than that, you can reach out to me. By the time this goes out, my website will be live. It's ikag.me. Feel free to subscribe to the newsletter, meet more folks like Emily. But Emily, I really appreciate you coming on, taking the time to have this conversation and pour into us, because like I said, there's a lot there that a lot of us don't realize, because we kind of fall into those traps, and it's really nice to have somebody kind of point and say, hey, don't do that. So I really appreciate that. Let's all get out there. Let's all be more efficient. Let's all meet some more people. All right.
Awesome.